All right, so it was just yesterday that I made a video talking about how it was the last chance for this duo of Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. Now, when I made that video, was I talking about the matchup against Denver in particular? No, I was talking about this upcoming stretch of games. But honestly, I seen enough in game one where I'm saying, blow it up. Blow it up. These two guys are not serious. These aren't guys you build your team around. And that's before we even get to the on-court problems. When we just talk about leadership, these aren't the guys. These aren't face of the franchise guys just off personality before we even get to the on-court product. But speaking of the on-court product, I want you guys to tell me what star in the NBA is not a volume three-point shooter. Tell me what star that is. I could think of a couple, right? Jimmy Butler, Shea, DeRozan, Bam Adebayo, I guess, Anthony Davis, I guess. When you look at these guys that don't shoot a lot of threes, they are usually dominant on defense, or like Shea, they get to the free throw line 10 times a game. And even Shea got you a steal and a block per game last year. The Pelicans are built around two guys that don't shoot threes and are terrible defenders. And then you add on to that, they are guys that have zero chemistry together. They're guys that don't talk to their teammates on the court at all. It is all bad. I don't understand why keep going forward with this duo. And then you have people that say, oh, you got to build around Zion, which I understand if you're going to build around one of them, it's probably Zion. But what about Zion makes you think that that's the guy we want to build around? The guy that was cleared to play in last year's play-in, but didn't feel like himself and yet somehow came into this season out of shape? These guys just don't seem serious about the game. When I'm watching them, I don't see anything about them that is focused on building winning habits. I see guys just out there trying to hoop, just getting cardio in. And what you're seeing on the screen is probably a bunch of plays from Zion where he forces up a layup over two defenders and doesn't get back on defense. It's been hard for me to find the Brandon Ingram clips from this season, so I have to go through manually and do that. But I know for a fact, I have some clips from last year during the run where Brandon Ingram was playing the best basketball of his life. Yeah, he still wasn't making the little plays, he still wasn't rebounding, he still wasn't communicating on defense. And there were multiple offensive rebounds that Brandon Ingram gave up at the end of last season that would have had the Pelicans as an 8 seed if he got a board. And some of you watching this video remember me making that video during the time and all you guys wanted to talk about was Brandon Ingram was getting triple doubles. I don't care anymore, bro. I've talked about it so much. I've said it so much. When it comes to talent, these two guys are probably top 10, top 20 talents in the NBA. Some of you guys don't see Brandon Ingram in that light, and why would you? Why would you? But if you look at his skill set, what he's able to do on the court, I believe he's that talented. It just doesn't matter anymore. It's too late for this duo. These guys are not serious about the game. And I would feel a little bit differently about it if we actually seen those two guys trying to work it out together. Watch a Pelicans game and tell me how often you see Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson communicating on the court. We all see the flaws, right? We all see the clunkiness in the offense. They see it too, but they don't want to talk about it. Those guys just aren't leaders in that way. They don't want to have the uncomfortable conversations. I'm out on both of these guys, honestly, and I don't want to hear anything if they go on a run and they make it happen, sure. I've been telling you guys how talented they are. If they make it happen, sure. But I am so disappointed in Brandon Ingram after defending this man for years, going on a decade, defending this man, telling you guys how underrated of a passer he is, how he has so much more to his game. It does not matter, bro. Get aboard. Shoot a three. You have the rookie out here, Jordan Hawkins, has to take, 15 threes because Brandon Ingram won't take them. Herb Jones, we know Herb Jones isn't a shooter, but he'll shoot a couple. But you can't really play Herb, B.I., Zion, and JV. You know what would make that lineup work if Brandon Ingram shot the three? You can't really go to Zion at the 5 with B.I. at the 4 because B.I. is not going to rebound and he's not going to shoot threes. And both of these guys are terrible on defense. Now, I'm focusing more on Brandon Ingram because it's just, they're not going to trade Zion. They're not going to trade Zion. But I have real questions about building around Zion as your guy. I would not do that either. But when you have two guys that take terrible shots, and I'm considering a lot of these Zion, try to acrobatic layup over 3 people instead of dunking on someone, I'm starting to consider those terrible shots. You have two guys that take terrible shots, don't get back on defense. What are we doing here? You can't have two of those guys. And the last point I'm gonna make about Zion, and it's a low-key point that I don't really see anybody making. When Zion got drafted, we all thought Zion was gonna be this high flyer. We were comparing him to guys like Blake Griffin and Shawn Kemp. Instead, we're getting a 6'6", 280-pound Kyrie Irving, the guy that wants to take wrong-footed layups and do all these crazy up and under scoop shots, which is cool. But imagine how much more impactful Zion could be on the court if he rolled and dunked the ball. But he can't because he's out of shape and he has to load up. He doesn't get off the ground quickly. You can't really just throw him a lob out of nowhere. He has to see it coming. He has to be prepared for it. He can't really stand on the dunker spot because he doesn't, it's not as easy as people were thinking it was going to be to play around Zion, to build around Zion. I remember when Brandon Ingram and Jackson Hayes had this crazy pick and roll that was elite. A lot of people were saying, just wait until that Zion. One, Zion is not that tall. He has to load up to jump. And in comparison to Jackson Hayes, you cannot just throw the ball up to Zion anywhere. You throw it up anywhere to Jackson Hayes, he's going to finish that. We thought that was going to be Zion, and maybe we were stupid for thinking a 6'6" power forward was going to be that guy. But I truly believe if Zion was in peak shape, a lot of this would work out. If Zion was in peak shape, he would be getting a lot more rebounds, not just his own rebounds that he misses. He would be getting a lot more defensive rebounds pushing the ball. But he's out of shape. He doesn't really attack the glass like that. If he was in peak shape, he would be running around off ball, setting screens, cutting to the rim hard, catching lobs. He's not in shape. He doesn't do that. He just stands on the corner. Maybe that's his fault. Maybe that's the coach's fault. And I compared him to Kyrie Irving. Let's say we thought he was going to be more Ja Morant at the rim, not Kyrie Irving. He's Kyrie. He's not Ja. And you guys know Ja Morant attacking the rim puts a little bit more fear in you than Kyrie attacking the rim, no matter how spectacular the finishes are from Kyrie Irving. When Ja Morant attacks the rim, you get out the way. Zion doesn't really have that effect that people would just assume he naturally has. But who knows, if he gets in peak shape, maybe he'll look like an MVP candidate again. Even though I think people are stretching that. He only played 29 games last year, so to extrapolate that and think he's capable of doing that for a full season is a bit of a stretch, but maybe he can do that. And maybe Brandon Ingram can play like he did the last 20 games last year all year, but it's becoming blatantly obvious they're not going to get it done together. 4 years ago, I would have said, yes, absolutely, we could mold this duo into something crazy. But now with all these bad habits built up, you got these young guys with contract extensions coming up, and you got guys you want to get playing time to. I'd say let's get it over with. Let's move on. Let's trade one of them. We can only have one guy on our team that takes bad shots and doesn't play defense. Or you know what? Let's trade both of them. I know that sounds crazy, but if I was David Griffin, I would be thinking about it. But I'm out on this duo. Pelicans fans, go ahead, drop the hate comments down there. Drop the dislikes. I'm out. I'm out. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Again, I'm out. Peace. All right, you guys, so this is me now after the Dallas game. Like I said, I recorded this video after the Denver game. But Brandon Ingram has actually been trying lately. He's competing on defense, which is, surprising. He's competing on the boards. He's trying to shoot threes. What we're seeing from Zion is not acceptable. But overall, it's never been, I don't believe in these two as talents. I don't believe in their, I don't want to, not work ethic, especially in the case of Brandon Ingram. All we hear about is how much he works, but I just don't believe in these two together, personality-wise, game-wise, habits-wise. I don't believe in it. And if you're watching these videos and I'm being so critical, you're probably thinking, man, when CJ comes back and Trey comes back, imagine what this team is going to be. And I agree with you. Those guys spacing the floor for BI and Zion, I believe they can make a run and be a playoff team. My thought process is, do I believe in this duo as a duo that can lead you to an NBA championship? And my answer to that is no. And maybe that's not the right mindset to have. I'm sure Boston Celtics fans are having that question about their duo right now. Miami Heat fans, is Bam good enough to be our it's always going to be a question. I just feel like with the financial situation coming up, with the vibe around the team and the fact that these guys clearly are not tight. You don't have to be best friends, but it's clear these guys don't even feel comfortable calling each other out. They don't talk on the court, and I'm just out on this duo. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. I just wanted to put this little part at the end because, like I said, I recorded this after the Denver video. I was extremely upset, but I sat back, I calmed down. I was thinking, you know what, I'm overreacting. But 2 games later, I was not overreacting. In the game BI took 11 threes, I was so excited. I was ready to make a video if they won that game. And then the last 2 threes he took were atrocious. One of them, Larry Nance, is wide open under the basket for a dunk, but we're not gonna go too hard on BI here. And 2 of the other ones were late clock bailouts, so they're still not the catch and shoot threes you want BI to take, but he's taking a couple of those. Again, he is trying, but this team building around this duo, I'm out on it. Let me know how you feel in the comments down below. I'm out. Peace.